whole gamut. You get the whole gamut of machines here. And we're in the dozer section here, and we have, you know, everything from older 1150B case to some old cats, some Komatsu, and then a really old, I think it's a 70s Caterpillar D9. And there's a lot of the whole spectrum of age here. It's actually a really old one, just by the design of the sprockets and the undercarriage. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe somebody came in here with a welder and welded these beads of this hard facing, because this thing probably works in a pit or quarry, and so these beads are essentially wear bars that keep the rocks and stuff that rub up against it from damaging it. And here, for your discerning eye, when you're looking at one of these, you can see the rust right there in that weld, the crack right there, and there's the underside. So if you stand back and look, that's that whole back drive sprocket right there that has cracks, and you can see that this thing has been welded up before. So you can see the top of the weld there, and they just stacked beads on top of each other. So this had a cracked drive assembly here. And right in front of that drive assembly, right in front of that crack, is the main arm that takes all the force from this thing pushing. So that's the things you have to look out for when you're at these auctions, is the amount of, not the amount, but you need to look out for cracks and damage like that. You don't know how this thing was run. This thing could have been in a quarry, it could have been pushing chips in a sawmill. There's no telling. So your guess is as good as the next person's. You just have to do your due diligence on these things. I have a couple of wear pieces. I think these are for the blade here. And same spot in the back here doesn't have those welds, so yeah, the right drive side has got a crack on it. There's the top right there. It's a big honking engine and relatively narrow tracks for the size of this machine, which tells me it probably spent most of its life doing rock work, because you don't need big low ground pressure tracks for doing quarry work. There's the old school U-shape forward and reverse speed selector, 3-speed selector, forward and reverse. And you got your two handles. You pull out one handle to engage the, I believe it's a clutch brake, and that is what turns your machine. And there's your handles for your hydraulic. Let's see if we'll get lucky. I don't know if this will start. I'm not quite sure where the battery would be on this. Probably right in front of me, I'm just not seeing it. But yeah, this is old school. I believe you can steer with your feet too, and this is your deaccelerator. So you throw your RPM all the way up, and then you use this foot pedal to slow it down when you need to change direction. And that is your view. So I'm going to try a different. There we go. So this is what you see when you're running this thing, and this is probably a bumpy ride, and you're eating a lot of dust and smoke too. I've never run a D9 before. I've only run D8s and Terex. I think it was like a 70 something. It was equivalent to like a D7. A single cylinder blade in the front, and it makes you really appreciate the luxuries that the newer machines have and the safety features that newer machines have. Yeah. If you have the time to put in some work rebuilding one of these and going through and fixing any cracks, then you'd have yourself a nice machine potentially. But you have to really weigh it as a cost of welding up this wouldn't be worth it, because that's there's a ton of force that's being applied right there. So I don't believe this had the Ritchie Brothers paint job special, as you can still see the paint of the last person that owned it. But this might have been painted, you know, at the couple years ago at the last auction, who knows. It just came back to be resold.